like frozen. So you can see they completely spread around and they try to spread out as much as possible. So they're taking up several spots by like with just a few bases in various areas. Like you can easily fit like 10 bases in here, and they only have 6 in here. And then of course you throw in the railroad tracks. That also helps this too, because it's just free space that they don't have to worry about taking up or blocking. And that's really all it is. The weird thing for them, a bunch of other war zones that we fought, so like this area here, and then like, oh no, it was out here and then like right here. The two other war zones that we fought in, they had these big areas. If you look down at the bottom of the screen here, these big blocked areas in the middle of the Warzone Duel battle, which is crazy. And so that would have been, if this was up here somewhere, that would have been even just more broken for their strategy, because it's just basically free space that they're able to block and not let people get into. But the whole idea here is they had a set time. It was, I think it was like 8:45, so 15 minutes before the fight actually started. They said, hey, everybody be on. We're going to fill the mud and get in here, spread out, take as much room as possible, and everybody use the plane skin. So if you see me zoom in, everybody's rocking the aeroplane or aerospace or whatever it's called. That skin that you get from the Alliance Duel champs, or versus Alliance Duel, your versus. And what this does is makes it extremely hard to figure out who's who. If everybody's rocking the same skin, there's no pay to win skins, there's no cannon skins. It's all the same skin. And the reason you do this skin and not just like the base 35 skin is because you get the increased march speed. So this makes more sense. It has movement, so it's just, obviously an added dynamic there when you have the added movement on. It's just all about being a big distraction. So everybody's rocking the base skin for the most part. There were a couple guys that are rocking the canyon skin, and that's the downside. Obviously, if you rock this, you're going to lose out on the attack benefits that you have with majority of your pay to win skins. So if you're using the arrow skin, you lose out on that, but this is a giant pain. The other thing, if I think I zoom in here maybe, or do I just kind of like look around? Maybe I just look around here for a minute. It's like right here, it's kind of hard to see. This guy here, it's all I. And so there's a bunch of players that just changed their name to I. And sorry. That's the other part of the strategy. Not only does everybody run the arrow skin, but then everybody, or not everybody, a majority of players change their name to I, especially a lot of your stronger players, because then it makes it harder for you to find who you're trying to either attack or you're trying to avoid being hit by, or you don't want to like hit their base or whatever it is. It makes it so much harder to quickly find that stuff. And in your Warzone Duel setting, you're usually trying to make decisions in like split seconds. Like, okay, I'm going to attack this person. Am I not? Am I trying to run from this person? And so this whole setup is to really just mess with you and make you wonder who you're fighting every single time you send an attack out. Because if I go out and I attack somebody, they port out and somebody else ports in and I'm not paying attention, I might think I'm still hitting the same person. And maybe the first time I hit them, they didn't have somebody on their wall. And then the next time I hit them, it's some strong player and I hit them and I bounce off them. So there's a lot of reasons why this is just so strong, and there's so many war zones that have used this before. And like, so I was highlighting Jimmy there, even Jimmy. So he was their VIP 18. He's rocking it. And obviously we know who Jimmy is. He's sitting right next to the cannon. He's not going to go anywhere. He's just going to sit there the entire time. But he's still doing it though. He's still part of it. Again, just to blend in is really all it is. Make it a little bit harder at the start, because when everybody teleports in the exact same, call it like 30, 45 seconds, and then you're trying to scan the battlefield of like who's who, and it's all the same base skin and all the names are starting to match, it makes it just a giant pain trying to figure out where to jump in here. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to share. I think most of the guys know where he's at though. And so Abria, I think that's Abria. Yeah, it's Abria right here. And then my screen's in the way, but I think Stickman or PT, I think PT was over where my screen was. So they were starting to clear out this area. And let me... Oh, I got hit with an ad on my own video. That's cool. Okay. Oh, yeah, it is PT. Yeah, so PT's over there. He's hitting them. People are trying to rally him. We got our guys starting to teleport it. This is so basically we had our own strategy, and we had, well, basically like kind of like two different strategies of like who was going to go where. Like OAC was going to park over here. SAS was going to park down here. NVD was going to park one of the other candidates, something like that. I can't remember. So that was like plan one. Okay, everybody be online. We're going to jump into our spots. We're going to have, you know, these players, certain players in the front, other players in the back. So we had it all planned out. And then when we got on and saw this, or, you know, we saw them all teleport, it was just basically okay, everybody just go. It was just, we needed to jump in and start clearing bases. And so I was looking here trying to figure out who was who and where to even start here. I'm trying to remember where I jumped in. You can see a guy starting to jump in. Oh, that's why I was trying to find, like I said earlier, they were spread out, so it was hard to find spaces in between. It looks like there would be space in between some of these bases, but when you zoomed in, there was nothing. And so they had just these small little gaps here and there that made it look like there was room to get a base in. So that's what I was looking for, because if you can jump in here and start clearing from the inside out, it's a lot better. Because a lot of these people, and you'll see this, a lot of these guys out here, what they're doing is they're either reinforcing or just sending teams to tiles and stuff. And as soon as somebody gets taken out, they're clearing their their ashes. And so you can see they're already doing it here. A couple of them got burnt out, but they were immediately clearing them. So that's the other part of the strategy. Not only are you trying to fill the war zone, contaminated land, but then you're trying to clear ashes as fast as you can to continue the delay of the other war zone getting space. And the longer you do that, the longer you have to take over the cannons, to take over the capital, and you can sit there, get those points before that other war zone has time to move their way in. You're trying to work your way. If you're stuck out here, you're working your way in. If you try to attack these bases in here, you're leaving yourself vulnerable all the way out here. So most times you're trying to work your way in, which takes a long time to do so. So you got to do it long enough before the fight actually starts, before the march speed slows down. So we jumped in to try to clear as many players as we can out to start getting into position before the actual Warzone Duel started, so we weren't stuck playing so far behind right at the start here. You see a few more guys jump in, and I just said, hey, screw it, I'm going here. Teleport in, and oh yeah, I was looking for the buff. jump ahead here. Yeah, I wasn't even looking at this point. I'm just going out and attacking because most of these guys did not have teams on their wall. Whenever it's a setup like this, their strategy is not to waste troops on the wall. They're going to waste troops sending to the cannon, sending to the capital. And if they get knocked out, somebody's going to clear the ashes and let them get right back into their spot. It's such a much more efficient strategy for players that are not strong. That, you know, if they don't have a 70 mil march to stop me, they're going to take teams off the wall. And that's you know, a majority of the players in my Warzone, or I shouldn't say majority of players, I'm like 45th in the Warzone, so there's 44 other players that are bigger than me. And I think, you know, even the top, I think top 100, it might be top 80, all have marches that are like 65 million or above. So if they're like 55 million, there's no reason for them to have teams on the wall for the most part. So yeah, they'll take the teams off. Players will come from behind to reinforce them. So I'm just sitting here trying to clear out, and so that's what we just do for the next 10 minutes is just work on clearing all these teams out. I'm just sending everything. Jump ahead here. Yeah, you can see 196, 196. We're clearing all these out, but they're just able to come back in and take these spots. And that's when our engineers start coming in here. If you see a Warzone doing this, you need to make sure you have tons of engineers ready to go for them to jump in. Hey, we're going to start clearing this area out. We need you to come backfill and start clearing out the ashes as we move forward, so you can start taking this land and stop them from doing so. That's how we're able to start working our way up into here. And then another ad. That's cool. What in the world is this? A puzzle app? All right, let's jump. All right, where are we at here? $22. No, we still haven't even started yet. Okay, so let's jump. Did I teleport back in yet? I don't think so. Jump ahead. Maybe. Froze. Hello. Oh, I had. Where are we? Where am I at? This is definitely during the fight. I don't know where I'm at though. Yeah, I don't remember where I'm at here. Basically, all I was doing once we had a lot of players like in position, and then some of our like lower players got in and were able to reinforce the capital and the cannons and stuff. There was a bunch of us that were going around just trying to keep some of the other players from sending troops out and attacking our players' bases. And we're starting to do a pretty good job of picking up these spots so the other server couldn't teleport into these spots. Oh yeah, I moved back here. That's right. Yeah, because we had taken over this spot. And so once we claimed this, we were just bouncing around back here for the most part, trying to keep these players out of here as much as we could, and like keep some of the bigger players honest so they couldn't send their main squads out and stuff, which would cause, you know, even more of a problem. I think this is a guy I bounced off of. Yeah. Yeah, he had a pretty big team. But that's a big thing. If somebody's sitting here and they know you can burn them, they're not going to send that that first team out to start attacking other players. So sometimes that's just something you got to do. If you like sacrifice yourself, your team's in a really good position. Just sit there next to somebody so they can't attack other players. It's like playing chess, just waiting it out. So it's a very, very good strategy. We just let me go back here, maybe. Yeah. So it's a very, very good strategy. I mean, they even had players in here the entire time, mixed in with a lot of players from our servers. It is just the fact that once we got in here, we had Stickman, PT, Abria. I think Abria was over here. Once they were in here and holding spots, it was over. There was nothing they could do to stop us. They didn't have the power to start kicking our guys out of the cannons. And a lot of these players, like I said earlier, didn't have teams on the wall. They had smaller marches. So for us sitting back here, kind of like a shield, basically, we were sitting there. We had our main teams on the wall. All we had to do was just sit there and keep other players from coming in and attacking our guys in here. That's really what the goal was. So even though they had the plane strat, we were able to get through there. And that was a big thing. Getting through there quickly is what allowed us to just get in here and take over. Let me see. Wait, where did I jump to? That was weird. It showed the... Oh, here we go. Yeah. So at the start here, they were able to get some points because they had so many players in here. But then let me jump. Trying to jump through here to find the... Oh, here we go. Yeah, so you can see at the start, they got a little bit of movement on the Capitol just because they had so many players in here at the start to be able to get the points. I think they ended up with 8%, if I remember correctly. I think they ended up with 8%. And jump ahead. Trying to find another full screenshot here towards the end. Oh yeah, this is when I sat over in the corner. Okay. There was, wait, where are we at here? 40. All right, so I jumped over in this corner here. I was hanging out. But you see, at this point, we had taken control of most of the central area out to here. They had this right here, and then Jimmy was hanging out right here, Mr. Jimmy Wasson. But yeah, majority of the players that were out here were just taking up space. That was their whole goal. They were still just trying to take up space. They were trying to clear ash. That was pretty much it. Trying to reinforce, but at this point, whenever you're able to just take over and hold all the cannons and the capital, they can't send anything to reinforce. If they were to hold this and they could reinforce, they have so many more players. I mean, well, it's pretty darn close, honestly. If you look at this side versus this side, and then over here versus over here, I know I'm blocking over here. It's pretty darn even. They probably have more bases around the outside that are probably reinforcing as well. But once you hold it, it doesn't matter. Because then there's nothing they could do. Let's see what the score was here. Yeah. Okay. So they ended with 9.25. Once they got that, they didn't score anything else, so they didn't get to 10%. But you're talking about a VIP 18. I can't remember if they had two VIP 18s or they had at least one VIP 18 and a very high VIP 17, or it was a 18 two 17s or something like that. So they had a lot of power. They were a very strong server, and I can probably pull them up again.